Hey Tian, how's it going? This is looking good. Thanks for hitting all those notes and everything. Like it looks pretty solid. Any kind of notes I give you now are going to be kind of super nitpicky. All right, so take them for what they are. But I will give you my thoughts on stuff. But I think you're in a good spot. You're probably ready, I would say, to move on to the next assignment. So. Let's talk about that real quick first, because I don't know if you've thought about it or come up with any ideas, but if you come up with an idea or think about something or have some reference or something to show, that would be fantastic. If you want to spend, so why don't you well, I'll leave it up to you. You can either hit these notes, which are going to be like really kind of finicky, polishy notes, and submit for next week, or you can move on and find some reference for whatever your next idea is. Either shoot yourself or get some video reference from the internet or a movie, whatever. Try to find something with as still of a camera as you possibly can, because if the camera is moving around too much, the reference starts to lose a lot of value in a hurry. You know what I'm saying? So try to find some reference to submit. Maybe if you want to, even it would even be great if you could find a character, get reference in Maya, set up the character in Maya, make a ground plane or whatever the shot sort of requires, and pop in, like 3 to 4 poses. That would be a strong first submission. Okay. But if you don't get that far, I understand. Okay. But that would be ideal. So let's take a look at this. All right, so I'm going to try to figure out where the loop happens, right? So I can just, oh, interesting. Like it animates on the left, but it doesn't animate on the right. But then we seem to get in sync. Oh no, maybe one's just like 1 frame ahead. Hardly matters. Okay, so, oh, this is still stepped, huh? Well, heck. Right? Okay. So I'm assuming this is on 2s now, right? This is stepped on 2s. Or 3s even. Okay. So I would spline this. When I'm watching it here, it does not look like it's stepped at all, which is kind of a testament to how well your poses are working together. Yeah, but it looks like it's on 2s. So I'd go ahead and spline it. But it's looking great. So things that catch my eye, and this is minor stuff, all right? So I want you to, it's tiny, tiny, tiny stuff. I like that you have the grid here, actually. That's going to make this particular part of the discussion. So I'm seeing maybe that there's like a tiny spacing when the head comes over this way. There's a tiny spacing thing that's catching my eye. So how do I figure out, like, oh, if this were my animation, how would I go about saying, well, where is that coming from? Why? How is it happening? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of like track where this edge of the face is. Maybe that's like on a 3 instead of a 2. I'm amazed how smoothly it plays. Like that must mean that all of these poses are really good poses, because I'm not feeling that it's on 2s or 3s at all when I watch it play. So this is something I do when I want to track the spacing. There are some tools in Maya you can use to track the spacing, which I'll probably I'll lecture on that next week for sure. But the tools that Maya have are kind of not good enough to do some of this stuff. And I tell you what, like sometimes I use a dry erase marker and I draw right on my screen, or I hang a piece of acetate up over my screen. But anyways, if we turn on ghosting, let's see if we can identify oops, I didn't mean to make that mark. One minute. Okay, let's see if we can identify where the culprit is. Okay, so again, I gotta zoom way in, and this might turn into pixel mush a little bit. But if you look at the, sorry, I have to refocus the cursor on the screen, and it won't let me do it without drawing something. So if I'm looking at these marks, right, and the spacing between them, this spacing looks pretty even, right? So what I'm seeing is like here, 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 here. But then it gets really tight. Like these two marks are really close together, and then it spaces out again, and then it gets really close again. So I feel like the spacing is a little uneven, right? And again, super nitpicky, polishy style notes. But when we watch it play, there's just a tiny little bump. Take that advice or leave it. It's very nitpicky. It's very polishy. This is strong work, so whatever. I don't mean to focus on all the negative stuff. I mean, and that's not even that big of a negative thing. Like this is a good looking walk cycle. I feel the overlap and drag on the forearms and hands ever so slightly. And again, on the head, the overlap on the head is really nice. There's one thing I kind of want to just check out, and that's some of the spacing on the heel lifts. I'm going to switch to a different color. But again, I feel like this is really nitpicky. I feel like this is strong work. Yep, I love that. That comes down in 2 frames. Alright, so I think maybe this is what I'm feeling. Let me explore. But the angle on the foot right here is pretty flat, and then it starts to pick up. And then it kind of stays the same. Like this feels like the same angle. And this might even be less of an angle, or maybe the same, and then it starts to like rotate up. But also like the spacing at which the foot is moving, like, all right, so if I'm tracking, let me get a different color. So all this stuff is related, of course. Like it's hard to fix one of these things without affecting the other, which is why I say like, it's like when you pull on a thread, you're going to be pulling on other threads, intentionally or unintentionally. So this, I think, is one of the spacings. This is what's kind of catches my eye, is that this feels very even, and I don't think that's a bad thing to have happen as this foot is translating backwards through space. But then all of a sudden, the space here, like that jumps. That's a big move here. And then it's another big move. You know what I mean? In the spacing of it, and then it's small again. So I think I'm feeling like this acceleration right here when I watch it play ever so slightly. Maybe you just want to play with the spacing of this foot and how far back it moves when it moves back, and when it moves, and just try to, like, you know, it's fine to make it even, but it's the acceleration of these big jumps that I think are kind of catching my eye a little bit. So maybe the spacing between here, these, has to be a little bit larger so that the spacing, once the heel starts picking up off the ground, can become increasingly smaller. You know what I'm saying? Because that's kind of like a deceleration of the foot to the point where it like turns and comes back in the other direction. And I think if you just watch it play, you can kind of feel that a little bit. Like the foot kind of jumps back right at the end of that. But again, nitpicky notes. I'm only paying attention to this stuff because everything else is working super well. Yeah, okay, that's what I got. Great stuff. If you want to hit those notes and spline it or whatever and submit again, like I said, that's fine. But if you want to start moving on to the next thing too, that is also fine. It's crazy how smooth this looks on 2s and 3s. So yeah, good attention to detail, good eye. Keep up the work. Thank you so much.